a conversation. Tell me what you think. Talk about the issues of the world. What kind of spice you wanna be? Tell me where you wanna travel. Do you believe in luxury? What's your hidden passion? What makes you so unique? Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Happy Monday. I am Nicole Everett, the host of Conversations with Nicole, where we are connecting the community through conversations. I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. It is what I call Man Up Monday. But before we get started with introducing my guests, you got to tell me, where are you all tuning in from? In the comments, just put your city and your state. Definitely want to give you a shout out. We have a dynamic speaker here tonight. Now, this brother I have met doing community work in the Bond community, serving with the Bond Neighborhood Association. But the more I see him and engage with him, I'm finding out there's much more to him. So this is really going to be like our first kind of meetup in terms of having a real kind of conversation. Like we chat and I, support his efforts and the things that he's done, but this is it. So y'all get ready to witness this all real time live. This is an interactive conversation, so we want you to be involved with it. Again, in the comments, whatever your questions are, your comments, we'll definitely try to get to them. But before I introduce him, I see Miss Andrea here in Tallahassee. Welcome, Rattler. Thank you for tuning in. So we are on the heels of homecoming. We had a whole homecoming influenza thing that went on, which I was a victim of that, should I say, or got a touch of that, but I'm feeling much better now. So I'm glad to be here with you tonight. So without further ado, let me read briefly, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but some of the interesting things about my guests. My guest. Dr. Christopher L. Daniels is a dedicated leader with a passion for turning good intentions into action and impact. He has served in several roles, including professor, program director, founder, and chief strategist. In each of these positions, he has worked tirelessly to create equity and inclusion and inspire others to pursue their dreams. Some of his professional highlights include creating programs to send over 300 women and people of color overseas on international cultural immersion experiences to destinations such as Dubai. I went to Dubai this year, South Africa, Thailand, Colombia, Egypt, and more. Through that nonprofit, he co-founded Motherland Connect. He has been able to provide funding for entrepreneurship training programs, donate to orphanages, and sponsor art exhibitions. He's also helped to train dozens of aspiring entrepreneurs in underserved neighborhoods through the nonprofit New Era Entrepreneur Network, Inc., which he serves as the chief strategist. So, without further ado, welcome, Mr. Dr. Christopher Daniels.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. So glad to have you on here with me.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So I just read, all of these great and wonderful things that you do, but who you are, who is Chris Daniels?
I know you was gonna ask me
Not
something
what
like
you
that.
do, not what you do, who you are.
Well, I mean, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and
Okay.
I came down to Tallahassee. I played football at FAMU, so
Okay.
most of my life was centered around sports and
Mhm.
athletics. I played football in high school. I ran track, a lot of other sports related stuff. So yeah, so that's a big part of me is being involved in athletics. And then obviously, I went to school. My degrees in education, or one of my degrees is in education, so I became a teacher. and I've always just kind of progressed through and became a professor and whatnot. So just really enjoy sports, enjoy education, and help people and working with other people.
Okay. Now, what? Yeah, I know I got to ask you this. What brought you to FAMU?
Football. I came here to play football.
Really?
That's what brought me here. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, did you know anybody at FAM prior to?
No, I didn't know anybody here, but I mean that's how sports are. He's just like, look, you playing sports, and it's a couple of schools who you're interested in or who are interested in you. So you just go wherever it is. I mean,
Okay.
it's interesting because from an athlete's perspective, school is a lot different than the average student, right? So like the average student, like the school is what really brings them there. But like for an athlete, you're just there to play football or whatever, basketball or whatever sports you play, and then go to school after that. But over time, your professors really have a good impact on you and help you to mature and grow up. And you start to see life outside of just sports. So, but initially, it was really just football. I came here for that. That's it. I didn't know nothing about FAMU or Tallahassee or nothing. It's just that was it.
Wow. Now, who was the coach then?
Coach Billy Joe.
Billy Joe. Okay.
Coach Billy
Nice,
Joe.
nice,
hmm
nice, nice. Okay,
I played for
cool.
Coach Billy Joe and then Coach Ruben Carter.
Okay, very good. Now, you're a professor at FAM. What do you teach?
So I teach political science. So, but primarily like international relations. So,
Okay.
comparative government, national security policy, a lot of other classes like that as well. I also teach African American history. So I've taught, a variety. I've taught geography as well. So I've taught a variety of different types of classes.
Now, you said you were an education major?
Yes, the social science education was my what my undergrad degree is in.
Okay. But just love history, love geography, love
Yeah, so social science.
comic
The good thing
class.
that's the cool thing about that particular major is that you can teach economics, you can teach political science, you can teach history, you can teach geography, you can teach a variety of them. So when I first did my like teaching internship, I taught geography at Griffin Middle School. So
Really?
with that major, you kind of become like a jack of all trades. So you get to do a lot of different things.
Okay. So how long you been teaching at FAM?
So I've taught for 10 years since 2011.
Really? Okay. And what are you currently teaching? What are you currently teaching?
I teach political science.
So political science. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah,
And
poli sci.
so
Yeah, yeah,
you've
yeah.
been
But
so
sometimes you can teach like other classes, but you teach like that. My area is political science.
that's your main area. Okay, good deal.
hmm
Now I have recently witnessed you acquiring property over on Palm Beach and renovating that and doing the grand opening. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean that was a great project. So the project was on Palm Beach and Main Street. So it was two triplexes and a duplex that I've begun the renovation process on. So it was a lot of work. I think that building had been abandoned for several years. So just going through doing the renovations, finding the contractors, just doing a lot of different things. It was quite a process. But now phase one is complete. Actually, just had some people move in today. We had some people move in from Afghanistan.
Mm,
So I don't know. Maybe people are familiar with what happened. Recently we pulled out of Afghanistan, so
mm-hmm.
a lot of people who were involved in wanted to leave the country. So some of the people who left the country, they've been having a hard time finding places to live. So I actually was able to house some of them in the flats.
Oh
Also,
wow.
also some people who had to relocate from the Orange Avenue apartments, the ones that are closing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually relocated one family from there into the flats as well. So
Okay.
basically, it's been serving as a place for people who are transitioning out of other housing situations or just more challenging situations, and giving them a good, affordable place to live. So I've been very, very happy with it so far. I mean, it definitely was a challenging project, but it's been very rewarding.
That's great. Now are you fully occupied?
Yeah, it's fully occupied. I plan to open up a couple more probably within the next 2 months or so. So
Hmm.
I'll have a few probably by January or February. But it's a high demand. I probably had about 300 people apply for the apartment. So it's high because the location is a great location. Right there
Hmm.
next to fam, next to a lot of other things. So the you can't have enough apartments in that area. So just anything you got, it goes very, very fast.
Yeah, you can't have enough affordable housing, period, whether it's rental
Exactly.
or ownership, because yeah, there's just not a whole lot out there, and as prices continue to go up, and wages aren't going up necessarily to, go along with that pricing. It
Right.
definitely puts a safe, decent, affordable housing in high demand. So glad you are
Absolutely.
offering that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's very, very much needed right now. One of the biggest challenges that we have, there's a lot of vacant properties, a lot of vacant properties. I don't think people realize when I say a lot, that might even be like an understatement. There's tons and tons of vacant properties. And as a result of that, it's very, very difficult for affordable housing because you have so many people applying for so few properties that there's really no other way to distinguish between people other than just to raise the price. So,
Mhm.
and that's what ends up happening is that people just they have to because it's not enough apartments for everybody, so it becomes difficult.
Yeah, I've also heard you, kind of leading that charge on, either some rehab monies for y- multifamily housing, in an effort to try to make the housing more affordable and accessible to folks. So how's that charge been in terms of, finding some funds available to assist with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been some success. It's easier on the private side than on the
Hmm.
public side. Like right now, unfortunately, most of the affordable housing dollars or whatever is going towards like new construction or for single family homes. So basically, like for people to purchase the homes, there's not that much money for like rentals. And I think that's just as important, if not more important, frankly, is to have
Hmm.
affordable rental units for people because what happens is you have such a shortage of affordable rentals that people are living in houses that could have been sold as affordable housing, right? So you really want to shift people out of single family rentals into apartments so that those houses will be available for sale. So basically, like it kind of kills two birds with one stone when you invest in multifamily properties versus single family properties.
Agreed, agreed, agreed. So, this is Man Up Monday,
Right.
and when I approached you about doing this, I know since you are a real estate developer and are looking to do some investments, I thought that what better topic to talk about than ownership as it relates to manning up. So
Right.
let me hear your view, your thoughts about ownership and manning up.
I mean, it's very important to have ownership in things that you do, right? Because that's where you can kind of control and dictate the future. As a man or as a person who's expected to be a leader, you want to have control of your own destiny. So it's great to have a job or to work, for other people or to have other things like that. But ultimately, you want to have some sort of control over your own destiny, and that's what comes from ownership. So also with ownership, it also it gives you control of like your community as well. So if you own the properties in your neighborhood or own, a good amount of properties within your neighborhood, then you could control who lives there, what goes on in your neighborhood, a lot of other things, versus when you don't, right? So
Mhm.
you see this a lot in a lot of communities where, people who don't live in those neighborhoods own a lot of properties. So they'll rent to anyone. They'll rent to people who sell drugs. They'll rent to people who have prostitution. They'll rent to anything because they don't care because they don't have to live there. Versus someone who lives in the community, they care about the character and the quality of people who live in those houses. So they're going to make sure that they screen their tenants a lot better. So
Mhm.
that you'll see that happening time after time after time, especially in Black communities. That's why ownership is very important. Another example is with businesses. A lot of these convenience stores, back in the days when they were black owned or owned by people within the community, they were a lot more orderly, a lot more, properly ran, and they had a lot more variety of products. Now, once you have other people owning them, all they're selling is beer, chips, cigarettes, and they're letting people sit outside all day and drink and stuff like that. Like that didn't go on
Mhm.
back in the days, right? Back in the days, they wouldn't allow people to do that because they didn't want their kids to have to walk past and see drunk grown men sitting outside all day. But now
Mhm.
we have to do that because we don't own our convenience stores. We don't
Mhm.
own our property. So because of that, there's a severe consequence. So there's definitely a big consequence to not owning your property and owning the businesses within your neighborhood, and it impacts your family and your livelihood.
Now, what are you personally doing about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I buy a lot of properties. That's one thing I hate to see vacant properties. I remember my first house that I bought. I drove past it. And I said, I'm tired of seeing all these empty properties next to FAMU. So I'm just gonna start buying them, right? So I bought several properties in the area. I work with other investors as well to buy more. We're actually trying to also open some businesses and a lot of things like that. So really, it's just about putting your money where your mouth is, right? So there's things that I don't like and I don't want to
Mhm.
see. So I've dedicated myself and my time to making sure that the things that I don't want to see, I'm taking them away, right? So, um, and it's great. It's been great because I've got a lot of support from friends, from family, from other people who want to see the neighborhoods improve. So it's really just about taking that action and going beyond just the talk.
All right. No, I get that, and I love that about you. Again, I've been kind of witnessing from a distance, but I've seen some groups that you kind of travel in and in some things that you're trying to do. So, well, what advice would you give for someone that is wanting to get started with ownership, with buying their first property, and maybe they don't have a whole lot of money? Maybe they have $1,000 or $2,000, or what advice would you give to them?
The best advice I would give someone is to get a mentor. So find someone who's experienced in doing real estate. So find someone who has a lot of properties, who's actively investing in real estate, and just say, hey, can I take you to lunch? All right. Take them out to lunch, take them to dinner, or whatever, and just kind of sit down and pick their brain. Ask them, how did they get started? How did they find their first deal? How did they connect with people, this, that, and the other? And generally speaking, people who are, who operate at a high level, they're more than willing to help you. You just have to you have to show some initiative on your own, though.
Hmm.
So if you don't, let's just say, for example, if you don't have money, right? It's okay. You don't necessarily have to have your own money. You have to have money from someone, but maybe you can find someone who does have money who can help you. All right.
Hmm.
So really, real estate investing and ownership in general, business in general, is all about solving problems. So the average person, when they're presented with a problem, they stop. Right. They say, "Well, I don't have any money," so they stop. The problem solver or the high achiever is the person who says, "Okay, I don't have any money. Let me find someone who does." Or my credit is bad. Let me find someone who has good credit. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You have to shift your mentality to think of not just the problem, but how I can solve that problem. And then once you get good at that and you really focus in on solving problems, so you identify the problem and then solve it. And once you get good at that, you really can be able to overcome anything. Because at the end of the day, people are always looking for opportunities. So really, it's actually more important to have knowledge of real estate and have access to good deals than it really is to have money in itself. Because there's a lot of people who have money who can't find good deals. So if you can actually find good deals, even if you don't have money, you would be able to go out and get money from other people. So I wouldn't say let money be stop you from getting involved in real estate. It's just making sure that you have the knowledge, and a good way to do that is reaching out to a mentor.
Excellent. I hope y'all getting all this because I'm writing notes. Yeah, this is good. This is real good. All right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
that get a mentor, become knowledgeable, access to good deals, and good
absolutely.
credit. Good credit would be helpful as well. All
Good
right.
credit, but if you don't, you have to have. Okay, so it's funny. We having the same conversation. I just had earlier. So I was talking to one of my mentees earlier today, right? And I
Uh-huh.
told him you really need you need four things, right? You need knowledge of real estate, you need credit, you need cash, and you need the ability to execute the deal, right? So if you have any one of those four, you can go find the other three, right? You don't have to
Mm,
have all four. So let's say, like, somebody might be watching who's a contractor, meaning that they have the ability to fix properties, they have the ability to do things, right? So maybe you don't have good credit, maybe you don't have cash. So go out and find people who got cash and credit, right? Too often people think that they have to have everything themselves, right? You don't. You have to just be able to find people who have it, right? So you have to know what you want and then know how to go get it. You don't have to be everything yourself. Some people can do all of those things, right?
mhm.
However, most people can't, and they go out and find other people. And actually, at the end of the day, it's actually more efficient to build a team because you'll go a lot further and you'll do a lot bigger deals once you build a team.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So the team will help supplement the things that you might be missing, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Good
Exactly.
deal. Good deal. Okay, so let me just pause. So for those of you who are just joining me, I am with Chris Daniels. It's Man Up Monday. We're talking ownership. He just gave us a great breakdown here of, how to go about owning. One is get a mentor, and then after that, knowledge of real estate, credit, cash, and the ability to execute the deal. And you don't need all four of those. If you got one, you can get the other three. Okay. And build a team. Build a team. Don't be afraid to build a team. Love it. All right. So we're going to transition on to our next topic, which is travel and exposure.
Yes.
Now, I put that together because I believe that travel can definitely be exposure, especially if you keep your eyes kind of wide open in terms of what's going on around you. Um, so you have traveled extensively, yes,
Yes.
and you enjoy traveling extensively.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No,
Uh-huh.
travel's great.
So I
It's one definitely great.
I just found out that you were this world traveler like a few months ago. So tell me all the things about travel. Like when you your first trip overseas, even if that was like forever ago, and what impact that made on you.
Well, I mean, I've traveled a lot, like since I was a kid. So, I would say like my first, I guess you could say, trip as an adult, was when I went to Nigeria. I went to Nigeria with one of my buddies. He married a girl from Nigeria, and we went there for the wedding. So I was there for about, I think about 2 or 3 weeks. It was a great experience. Just being able to, and get embraced in the culture, the food, the clothes, just the people, the kindness, and just seeing like a totally different way of life. That was a wonderful experience. I really enjoyed Nigeria. Nigerian people are very, very hospitable, very, very kind. So I had a wonderful time while I was out there.
Okay. And about how long ago was that?
Ooh, was that 2006, 2005, 2006? That was a
Okay.
long time, a long time, a long time.
Okay. 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 And
Yeah.
so was that kind of, when you caught the bug and was like, I gotta go back, I gotta go some other places.
Yeah, no, I mean, so ever since then, I think the next year I went to Kenya and Tanzania.
Okay.
Then after that, I went to South Africa and some other countries in Southern Africa. So yeah, I've been traveling a lot. So I would say that was kind of like the beginning when I started traveling like annually, like every single year. So I started traveling a lot, a lot, a lot, especially when I was in school. So my PhD is in African studies. So I got a
Okay.
chance to go to a lot of different African countries. I went to Ethiopia, I went to Somalia, I went to Sudan, I went to Egypt, some other places throughout the African continent as well, just for some of my research and other opportunities that came up. So I really, really enjoyed it. And then I started taking groups. So I started taking groups to Africa back in 2011.
Okay.
So pretty much every year except for, well, even during the pandemic, yeah. So every year since 2011, I've taken at least one group overseas. Like even this last year, I took a group to Ghana. I took about 30 people to Ghana in June. The year before, I took about 200 people to South Africa. And then, of course, the pandemic and all that crazy stuff happened. But so, yeah, so I've taken people to a lot of different places: London, Thailand, China, Colombia. There's a lot of different places. So all those have been wonderful experiences. It's been great seeing the different continents, meeting different people, seeing different ways of doing things, and it's always inspired me to think outside the box.
So tell me about the first group that you took. Like, what was that
Yeah,
experience like?
it was great. So the first group I took was well, back in 2011. It was in August of 2011. I remember now. We went to South Africa. We went to South Africa, Lesotho, and Swaziland. So three countries within Southern Africa.
Okay.
So we were out there for about 3 weeks.
Mm.
I took the group out there. They got a chance to learn to learn about Southern Africa and just about the history, about the culture,
Hmm.
and they got a chance to visit three different countries. So the reason why I chose those three different countries is because they all had three different like styles of government, right? So South Africa was a little more like kind of a modern style of government, whereas like Lesotho and Swaziland, they still have like kings and stuff like that, so more of a traditional style. So they got a chance to see kind of like the African continent and kind of the diversity of different types of people and different ways of doing things and just how that impacts like day-to-day society. So it was really cool. I mean, it was so in Southern Africa during our summer is their winter. So it was wintertime
Oh.
over there. So they actually got to see snow. We went up in the mountains and went horseback riding. Just so many cool things. It was just a really, really amazing experience. I think the group really loved it. That actually was a very, very successful group. Of that group, some of them, one of them now is like a multi-millionaire real estate investor. One of them is like a big executive now at one of the universities. One of them is a doctor now. So it just shows you like one of them is like a political act, big time political activist. So it just shows you that traveling, is something that helps you kind of think outside the box and see bigger things and bigger opportunities. So it definitely is a great thing.
So, which is part of why I wanted you to mention that here on this Man Up Monday. As a man, what impact has that travel made on in your life?
Yeah, I mean it's great because you get a chance to see how men operate in different countries, right? And to see
Hmm.
different styles of relationship dynamics, things like that. So one thing I always admire, about different countries is how people work really hard to provide for their families. So even though in other countries people may not have all the opportunities and advanced things that we have in America, they still get up every day and make sure that food is on the table for their family. So just seeing how men in other countries make sure that they make ends meet is something that always inspired me. I really enjoy it, just seeing the dynamics of this. And one of the things I really particularly like about like African cultures is that they have a lot of like kind of like traditions and whatnot, where like men get together with like younger men and kind of pass on the skills and the
Hmm.
things that they know to make sure that the next generation will be able to take care of their family and carry on the family name. So that's
Hmm.
something I always really liked, and I think that we need more of that here in America. Is that we don't have enough men mentoring younger men to kind of help them to get to the level where they can be good providers for their families. So we need a lot
Hmm.
more of that.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. To be able to witness that, and again, I can definitely see that having a great impact on you. So again, I gotta ask, what advice would you give for somebody that might be interested in traveling, interested in being exposed in this way? You know, what tips, what advice would you give to them?
Well, I mean, I would say like, okay, so a lot of people ask you about traveling, so I give people like a lot of different ways to do it. So, a great way to travel is to make friends with people from other countries and then go with them. All right. So if you go with them, like then all you got maybe do is pay for like your plane ticket, maybe a little money here and there for food or something. That's like a lower cost way to do it, right? So make friends from other places, and then you can come and visit them, and usually they're very hospitable. Good thing about people in foreign countries, they usually have, they'll let you stay at their house, let you do this and that. Now, you may be past a stage in life where you don't want to stay at somebody's house. Like you don't want to sleep on somebody's couch or something like that. Like that's not happening for you. But there's a lot of different options where you can travel on a budget, right? So I don't know if people are down for backpacking. You could do backpacking, where you stay in like hostels and stuff like that, like very inexpensive places to stay, right? The good
Uh-huh.
thing, one thing I really love about like other countries is that they have like a lot of different levels of hotels. So of course you got like your nice Ritz Carltons and all those nice places, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then they have a lot of like mom and pop like bed and breakfast places that don't really cost that much, like 40,
Okay.
$50 a night. And then, if you want to go all the way to the cheapest route, you can stay in like a hostel, right? Which is like bunk beds and like a dorm. So like you'll be like in a big open room and
It
like
sound like
bunk beds.
it sound like a sweatshop, Chris. I'm just saying.
I mean, some people, some people they want an adventure. So I'm like, hey, listen, if you want some adventure, this is how you can get it.
That definitely is an adventure, no doubt. No doubt, no doubt. Any particular websites that you check out or anything when you travel or
Well, well, to get like cheaper hotels, you can go to Hostel World. I mean, of course, Airbnb everyone goes to.
Mhm.
Those are. There's not really like any particular website per se that I would go to find for international, right? Really, international. Whenever it hits the internet, it probably is more expensive. So it's better off to travel like with like local people or like go with the group. So I always
Okay.
say groups. Our the website for our group trips is motherlandconnect.org. So people can always get on there, www.motherlandconnect.org, and look at some of the upcoming trips that we have. Group travel is one way I definitely suggest for people who have not traveled that much, because like it's good to be with other people. Because a lot of times what you'll find is that you go on a great vacation, but then you're out there, it's not that many other people like especially for like African Americans. You may or may not be the only. There might not be any other African Americans out there, right? And you might be
Mhm.
cool with that, but you might want to also have an experience with people who are like you. So that's one thing that really makes our trips cool, is that not only do you get a chance to experience these things, you get to experience it with other people, and
Mm.
and then you can always reminisce with those people. So like every time I see those people, the first thing they say is, "Oh, I remember we went to South Africa. Oh, I
Mhm.
remember we was in Dubai. I remember this." Like it's something that you never forget. And then to multiply that effect is you get to experience it with other people, right? So then both of y'all never forget that moment, and it's always
Right.
like kind of like a common bond. So people who I travel with, we're always like friends for life, just off of that one little trip, even if it's just a week. It's something that you always remember for a lifetime.
I was just getting ready to say that. Sounds like you've made some really cool friends.
Definitely, definitely. So I mean, the funnest thing for me has been traveling. So going to school in DC, I got a chance to meet a lot of people from all over the world. So, in my early days of traveling, I used to just go stay with my buddies or this, that, we'll go around together. Just a lot of different things like that. And then you make a lot of good friends. And then when I started taking other people overseas, just making friends with them, they would bring their cousins, other people like that. So you end up making a lot of good friends. And then what you find is that people who travel, they tend to be, relative pretty successful. So it's kind of like a very, very like elite group of people who you have a great network with, because they've traveled, they've been exposed to a lot. It helps them to come back and be very successful in life.
Gotcha. All right. I want to invite folks, if you have questions, definitely put it in the chat. And give me that website one more time, Chris. You said motherlandconnect.org.
.org.
Okay. I'm putting it in the comments so that folks can see that as well. All right. So, any places that you haven't been that you want to go?
There's some place I haven't been that I want to go. I'm trying to think. There's some place I haven't been that I want to go. I want to go
Do you have a
to.
desire to go to every continent?
I
Do you
mean,
want to go to every continent?
I would definitely. Yeah, I haven't been to Antarctica, so I definitely would like to go to Antarctica. I haven't been to
Okay.
Australia, so I definitely want to hit that. So
Okay.
that would close out my every continent trip. Or I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different places. So I'm actually but usually if it's a place I haven't been, it's like I have a plan to go there. So I'm actually looking forward to going to Spain. I haven't been to Spain,
Okay.
so I'm trying to make a plan now to get there.
Okay.
Sometime, once travel becomes a little more fluid. But yeah, Spain is definitely a place I would love to go. I would also love to go to Seychelles. All right, that's been a place that I've been trying to make a plan to go. So I
To
want to
where?
hit the islands, and enjoy the nice weather.
To where?
Seychelles, which is like east coast of Africa.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. School us. Look, school me. Now, I know you've traveled to a number of places in Africa, but you said African studies was what you got your PhD in?
yeah, in African studies. Yep.
Okay, all right. So I mean, I know you just mentioned that place, but any other place in Africa that you like to travel to?
Um, I want to go to Rwanda.
Okay.
That's I got, and it's funny because I got a lot of friends there, but I've
Mm-hmm.
never actually been myself. So I see their pictures, I see them hanging out, having a good time, but I
Okay.
need to go experience it for myself. So I definitely want to hit Rwanda sometime soon. Definitely for sure.
Gotcha. 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 Okay, good deal. And so I want to also just kind of talk about manhood in general. So I'm kind of transitioning. You are teaching on campus, kind of dealing with young men, and they may and you can let me know if this is true or not, but they may kind of seek or look to you as a big brother or as a father figure, some of them. What's that experience been like for you, working on campus with the students of today?
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely important. As a professor, and even as someone in the community as well, is just being able to be a mentor for young men, because like I said, there's a shortage of mentorship for young men. Like I think our society has done a good job, relatively good job of creating like a mentoring environment for young women, but for young men is not as prevalent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is really, really not prevalent. So you'll find that they really don't have that many people they can look up to. So definitely something that I enjoy. Just kind of talking to them, talking about manhood, talking about just what it takes to be successful as a black man in America. There's a lot of things like that. Just there's a lot of those type of talks that happen. But really, the biggest thing, what I've learned is with young men is that you have to model what you say, right? You have to be who you say you are, right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
be someone who they want to be, because then they'll reach out to you. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have a desire to be a mentor, but in order to really be a successful mentor, the main thing you have to do is be a successful person who people look up to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you do that, then you'll find out a lot of young men will look out to you, look up to you, and then they'll reach out to you because they'll want to be kind of where you are, right? And that's kind of it can be a little difficult because you know unfortunately, because like how our culture is, people only tend to like respect people based off like their money, or like if they
Mm-hmm.
really flashy or have some type of like status, because young kids are always inundated with like rappers and celebrities and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you kind of just like an average Joe, they're like, well, oh, who is this? He's like, da da da. And that's why, unfortunately, a lot of young kids kind of look up to like drug dealers or people who scam or do things like that, because they're
Mm-hmm.
living that flashy lifestyle where they're showing that they have money, right?
Right.
And it's unfortunate because it's leading a lot of them astray because they're going down the wrong paths. So
Mm-hmm.
people who have who've been successful for themselves by doing it the right way, they really need to make more of a concerted effort to reach out to our young people, because they don't see that many black men who are doing well for themselves financially, who are not involved in illicit activities. People who are just involved in construction, or involved in engineering, or professors, or whatever their profession may be. A lot of people, they don't see that enough. So we need a
Mm-hmm.
lot more of that being put out in the community.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. Does it ever get kind of overwhelming for you being a mentor to several, you know, young people? Because I have talked to some men and they have expressed that. and some of these men are a bit more seasoned than you in terms of, they have grown children and now they feel like, I raised my children. So, these young people being drawn to me, it's like, I don't want to hear their problems. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I want to take on all of that. So just, and not to put you out there, but this is my first time really having a conversation with you in this manner. So I'm just kind of wanting to know from you, what your thoughts are about it.
No, I mean, so I guess for me, I mean, I don't have kids, so I don't like have a family to like, I guess, deal with in that way. So for me, it's really not too overwhelming. I try to just manage it. It can be difficult though. I mean, definitely, but I guess I'm kind of used to it from being a professor. So being a professor, you always, I mean, you're just a natural mentor to people because of because of your job. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone, not just men, women, anyone, people always ask me for things because that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
people want me to write letters for them to go to grad school. They want advice if they need a job. They want me to, make a call for them, this, that, and the other. So, I mean, it's just the nature of being in this type of position. So I'm kind of used to it. But it is a lot of work and it definitely can be time consuming. So you have to always set some sort of boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that for me, I always make sure that they reciprocate whatever they're asking for. So, if you want me to help you, you need to be willing to help yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not willing to put in the work, like if you want me to help you and you're not willing to, read books, you're not willing to, do this, do that, then I'm not really interested, right? I'm not trying to I don't want to be spending time on things that aren't going to have any results. I'm a very results oriented, results driven person. So if I can see that you're not willing to do what it takes to get it done, then there's no point in us going back and forth because there's not going to be any progress here.
Okay. Oh, it makes sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. Now, mental health is one of my kind of passions.
Mhm.
So I got to throw a mental health question in here. Of course, we've been through this past 18, 19 months of, pandemic and all of the things that we went through in 2020 and it still in 2021. And so mental health has come up quite a bit, just in our daily coming and goings. Um, as a black man, how important is mental health and mental wellness and the I guess the ability to maybe talk to somebody, a counselor, a therapist, or just someone that you can confide in so that you can have a sense of mental wellness. How important is that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why having mentors, that's why having, people in your life who you can count on, is very, very important. No matter where you are in your career in terms of like, success level or whatever, you always need someone to talk to. So sometimes, as a black man or any professional person, you've reached a certain level that a lot of people can't really understand, like the day to day of what you're doing. So it's important to have like your peers, a group of peers you can talk to about what's going on. And then also sometimes it's also important to have people who are outside of your circle who you can talk to. That's one thing. One thing I've always found is that it's nice to talk to people who are like for example, like if I'm going to talk about some academic stuff, sometimes nice to talk to people who are not academics. So it's like a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of ears, where they're just
Mm,
looking at it from like a non-insider kind of standpoint, right? Or sometimes when I talk
mhm,
about real estate, it's nice to talk about it's a non-real estate professionals. Just to just to get a different viewpoint, just to get a different understanding of things, right? So I think just having mentors, having groups of people, and just being willing to say what's on your mind and be willing to speak
mhm,
up, it goes a long way. It's not. Some people feel like if they're having issues or having some problems, it's like a sign of weakness. It's not necessarily a sign of weakness. It's reality. Everyone struggles. I think that one of the false perceptions now, because of like social media, other stuff like that, they feel like everybody's winning, right? They feel like everybody's always winning all the time, right? But
mm,
the reality is everyone struggles. Every business owner has bad days. Every business owner has bad months or bad deals or a lot of things happen, right? So the point is that there's someone in your same situation, whether you know it or not. So it's important to reach out and talk to people, so you can get support, you can get help, so you don't get so far down and so far behind that it gets out of control.
Mm-hmm. As Javon said, absolutely. So you mentioned, you know, entrepreneurship. So you have a nonprofit, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do.
New Era Entrepreneur Network.
Very
All
long
right.
name.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. All right. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so New Era Entrepreneur Network Incorporated is a nonprofit I started back 2015, I think, 2015, 2014, somewhere. It was somewhere at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the year. All right. I
Okay.
know because I had to end up paying twice. Uh, when I registered, then they hit
Uh,
me with another bill. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know that. If I'd have known this, I would have waited like 2 more weeks to start it, but whatever. The
right.
Department of State got my money, so, so it's all good. But yeah, so it really just the purpose of it was my inspiration for starting it was I found that there were a lot of people who were very, very talented, but they didn't understand that their talent was a business, right? So, for example, like a photographer, you know, some people just take pictures and da da da, but they don't realize that it's a business, right? You could make a living just taking people's pictures. Um, you can make a living being a DJ. Like some people see, like okay, DJs is whatever, those parties, but that's actually a career, right? You can be a professional
Mhm.
DJ. That can be your job if you take it seriously. Um, People who do events like party promoters or whatever, whatever you want to call it. So what I wanted to do was the inspiration behind it was trying to teach people in non-traditional fields how to take their skills and make it into a business where they can earn a living, right?
Hmm.
Because everyone can't go to school, right? I am a professor, so obviously I would love for everyone to come to college. But the reality of it is, everyone can't go to school, and everyone doesn't need to go to school. All right, there are a lot of things that you can do in life without going to college. So my nonprofit really focuses in on people who are not college students, people who are not going that college route, people who are trying to go a non-traditional route. And still want to be able to provide for their family and make a good solid living. So we work with people in very like people who do websites, people who do photography, people who are promoters, people who are DJs, people who are models, people who are Instagram influencers, all those different type of careers that don't really have much support and a clear kind of pathway. We help them to kind of create a solid pathway where they can make money.
Wow. Okay. Sounds interesting. So, how do folks connect with that?
Yeah, so you can visit my website. The website for my nonprofit is newerafla.com.
Okay.
So you can just go, or you can send me an email at info@newerafla.com and just reach
Okay.
out and just let me know. And we can talk. We have a free entrepreneurship training on the website. You can get on there and go through. We talk about accounting. We talk about marketing. We talk about sales. We talk about, you know, uh, creating a business plan. All that's online for free. So anyone can get on there anytime and check that out and learn. And then
Wow.
obviously, we have other consultations, other services as well that anyone is free to use. So if you want
Okay.
someone to kind of give you a little bit more in-depth one-on-one treatment, we also have that available as well.
You sound like the Small Business Development Center.
I mean, it is part of that. I mean, that we do similar work. We also refer people to the Small Business Development Center. So I tell people like, look, there are a lot of great entities and organizations in Tallahassee that are doing similar type of work. But I think what we try to do is we try to focus on people who are a little bit non-traditional, right? So that is really our focus is people who are kind of non-traditional. So maybe people who have been to prison, maybe people who have had some issues, so maybe they don't really feel comfortable going to like some of these more corporate type places. So we kind of want to kind of meet them in between. Like, okay, man,
Hmm.
we can feel comfortable. You don't have to have all your stuff together. You don't have to know all the college lingo and whatnot. We're gonna get you there, right? And then once we kind of get them to that level, then they can go to the Small Business Development Center, other places like that, and really take off to that next like corporate type level. So we want to kind of just get people out of the like rough, get them into a package that you can work with, and then send them to the small business development center. They can really take off.
That's great, Chris, because also often the entrepreneur wants to do that thing that they do well, but there's the marketing, there's the bookkeeping, there's the operations, they need to put these systems together, there's the sales. And so they really don't particularly care to do all of that stuff. They want to do the thing that they like to do, building those websites or
Exactly.
promoting or whatever. So I totally get that. I'm glad that you're offering this because, as you stated, yes, there are several entities in town that do offer. It sounds like very similar services, but you know, there's room out there for everybody. I just am of that mindset that the Small Business Development Center, they can't see everybody, right?
Yeah.
And
And
so,
I mean, and they do a wonderful job. I think they do great work. I went there when I was in school, and they definitely helped me along my career path. So they do excellent work.
right.
It's just there's so much of a demand. I don't think people realize, especially in the younger age, you know, there's a huge wave of people becoming entrepreneurs, and I don't think people realize how big it is. Um, there are, I mean, I'm talking about just, we all heard about like the great resignation and all the people quitting their jobs and whatnot. A lot of people
Hmm.
were quitting their jobs, but they were going to different jobs. But this younger generation of people, they're not going to jobs, period. They don't want to work at all. Right.
Hmm.
And I think, fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to see it, you can see it now. I mean, you know, you go to a restaurant and stuff like that, they only have like one or two waiters. They don't have all the people working like they used to because now people are just doing their own businesses. So there's a huge demand for people who can help people learn how to run a business properly because a lot of them, they'll start out, they have a lot of passion. However, they're going to hit a brick wall because they don't have the business set up correctly.
You have definitely hit the nail on the head on something because I've actually been having this conversation for quite some time. As unemployment was being dried up, but still the need for workers has been great. The demand has been great. And I've just been like, well, what did the people move to another country? I'm just trying to figure out where did all the workers go? And
Right.
so, like you said, they are now pursuing entrepreneurship. And so that just makes a whole lot of sense that they need help with developing these systems and learning how to run these businesses right.
And what's interesting about it is, and this is one of the beautiful things that I enjoy about traveling, right? There are countries that have similar economies, right? Where the native citizens or whatever you want to call it, where there's a lot of business owners, and I think we're starting to have that transition here, right? So I think more Americans are going to start going into business ownership, and then eventually we're going to have more maybe people come in from other countries and end up working or whatever, right? Because the average person now, especially these young kids, they do not want to work. Like they don't want to work for anybody. Let me say they want to have their own business. So it's going to be in the next 5 or 6 years, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to get anybody to work for you. I mean, ask anybody right now, it doesn't matter what profession you're in, try to find some employees. It's extremely, extremely difficult. So, as an entrepreneur, and even as someone who's running the current business, how can you shift your business to something that can exist without employees, right? Or with very few employees. So, there's a lot of technology, a lot of new programs that people aren't familiar with. So these are the type of things that we connect people with. So, okay, I can't find someone to do my accounting. Okay, there's a software you can use for that. Or I can't find
Mhm.
someone to do this. There's a software for that. Like, there's just a lot of different things now that if you can't, basically the internet and a lot of software and a lot of other programs can solve those problems. So that's why a lot of people need coaching now because the economy has changed. The nature of how money is made has changed. So if you don't change with that, you're going to get left behind.
Great point. We got a question on the floor from Mr. Johnny Johnson. He wants to know what probably businesses, have you
But
assisted?
yeah, so I've helped a lot of different people, but the majority of people I work with, well, I want to say any particular industry, but one of my favorite clients was all-purpose property solutions, right? So that's a property preservation business. So basically, what I did for them was I helped them to set up their website, help them to develop professional email, just an entire professional system, right? Where basically, essentially, what they did was they went from just kind of like a mom and pop handyman to like a corporate where they're getting hired directly from banks to renovate properties. They're getting hired by hedge funds to renovate properties, and all was because of proper marketing and properly position them in a way where they were able to look like a credible business, right? So really, a lot of the work we do is taking people who already have talent and skills and create and transition them into modern times. What you'll find is that a lot of business owners they operated a certain way for a long time, and that's just not going to cut it in the modern era. Like it's like people now who only take cash, they don't take cards. Like nowadays, if you say I don't take cash, I don't take cards, people look at you like you're crazy, right? So there's things like that, like showing them how to set up, Square, how to set up other payment processing systems, just little things like that that make a big difference, because now you go from only being able to deal with cash customers to be able to deal with anybody, right?
Right.
Now people from out of town can pay you. Now a lot of different things like that. So it just expands the amount of money you can make tremendously. So I've worked with a lot of people on a lot of different like small things like that, and I've done some entire makeovers for a lot of different people. And help them to really become successful.
Wow. Boy, I tell you, there's just the layers that I'm peeling back off of Chris Daniels. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. It just keeps going, right? No, I appreciate you sharing that. No, I was not aware of this whole entrepreneurship network that you have, New Era Entrepreneur Network. So I put that in the chat so that folks can connect with you there if they so desire. NewEraSLA.com.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely encourage people to just check us out. It's a nonprofit, so like we're not like actively like going out like pursuing people. People usually come to me, so it's pretty much like people see me and what I do, and they kind of just come to me. That's typically how it's been. Because people know me and they know what I do, so they want to know how did I do it, and I show them how I did it. And that's typically the way we go about it. We got a really strong team, so I got web designers, I got flyer designers. I mean, and anything that you want. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm connecting you to everybody you need to make yourself successful. All right. So
Nice.
it's not like I want to make it seem like I'm like the guru who does everything, right? But I know everyone you need to know. And what I do is I put you in contact with people who you need to know to help you become successful. So a lot of people don't know people. So people always reach out to me because they know that I know people. And
You the plug.
So, right. I just try to be the plug essentially, right? And that's what you really need though. I mean, really, it's just about connecting the dots. So if you need this, bam, this person can do it. This person can do it. This person can do it. And it's all people who do quality work for good prices. And because one thing I find is that a lot of people get discouraged because, okay, they go reaching out for this person and they get hit with the big invoice. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute. I can't afford this. And then they just shut down and they go back into like the toxic, I'm going to do it all myself trait. Right. And that toxic, I'm going to do it all myself trait is not going to get you anywhere. Right. That's why you have to reach out to multiple people, because there's a lot of different people. Everyone's at different stages of their career. Right. So some people have to charge what they charge because they have a lot of overhead. They need to make a lot of money. But there's other people who don't have a lot of overhead and they don't need to make a lot of money, right? I mean, it's just what it is. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the quality is going to be less or more. I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. Now, of course, after you get a certain budget, I always recommend that you go with the best you can get. But when you're just starting out, you need to just get something done. So there's a lot of people who can get it done for you, who can get you online, who can get you accepting payments via credit card, who can get you doing those little things that help you really get to that next level, who can help you register with the city, register with the state. I mean, there's people missing a lot of money out here because they're not official and legit. Last year, a lot of people were crying because they couldn't get PPP loans because they didn't have their business together.
They ain't had their papers together.
Right. And then there's other people who got all types of, they got more money than they ever could have wanted because they had their stuff together. So just those little things like that. And there's about to be supposedly supposed to be another big stimulus package coming through next year. So helping people to be set up so when those opportunities come, they're ready and they're able to strike on them. It's definitely important.
So get your house in order.
Get your stuff in order. And
Right.
don't try to do it all yourself, because you're gonna get tired. Your kids gonna need to go to soccer practice. Your husband is gonna need dinner tonight. Da, 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 da. And all of a sudden you're gonna get behind, and it's not gonna get done. And it's gonna be 2023, and you done missed all the opportunities. So it's just better to
Mm-hmm.
get someone else to do it for you, so it gets done, and then you can really, really take advantage of the opportunities that come up.
Right. All right. So Johnny had another question. Are you into real estate? So Johnny, that was the first thing that we covered. So I'm gonna ask you to check us out in replay. All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, we are coming to the close of our conversation, but I wanted to hear from you. Any, final words? I want to know what's coming up on the real estate front.
Yeah.
If you're able to share anything.
I'll just say this. I mean, I have a lot of big projects in the pipeline. Actually, a lot.
Uh-oh.
God willing, everything's gonna go smooth. The next few years, you'll see a lot of great things happening in the Bond area and other areas as well. Working on a lot of projects actually. So, it'll definitely be great. I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm excited for it. It's been a lot of hard work along the way, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot of progress coming soon. So definitely excited, and stay tuned for that.
Okay. And then what about, oh, look at my finger. My finger won't stop clicking the button. What about on the travel front? What you got coming up on the travel piece?
Absolutely. So in March, doing South Africa and Dubai. In June, we'll be
March of
doing
next
Egypt.
year?
In March of 2022,
Oh, wow.
South
Okay.
Africa and Dubai. Me personally, I'm going to Brazil in next week. And then
Did you
I'm
say
going to South
next
Africa.
week?
I'm going next week. I'll be in Brazil next week. So if you want to come, let's go. Let's go.
Whoa.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Listen, travel and exposure. Man
Let's go.
up. Look, woman up. I'm ready to go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Is it warmer there than it is here right now?
I'm not sure. I hope so. It should be there summer, so I'm sure it's warmer than it is here.
Okay. All right. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I'm jealous, Chris. I'm jealous. We'll take lots of pictures and maybe next time. You've been to Brazil before though, right?
Yeah, I have been. Beautiful place,
Okay.
wonderful people. It's gonna be a great
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. I'm jealous. I'm super jealous. All right. Well, I have truly enjoyed this conversation, and I know there's probably more that you haven't revealed as of yet. But as I as I peel back these layers to Chris Daniels, I have to have you come back again and chat with us. Look, you have to come tell us about Brazil.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure I'm gonna have plenty of stories. I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Well, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. This has been really great. Um, Great conversation about ownership, about travel and exposure, about manhood. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. So don't leave just yet. I definitely want to make folks aware of some of the things that we do have coming up, conversations with Nicole. Tomorrow, we have a community forum from 7 to 8, and that will be right here live. The 2021 Community Organizing Graduate Students of FAMU Public Health. We're going to have a conversation on ending Southside violence. You had those conversations before, Chris, about
Oh yeah.
ending Southside violence. You've had plenty of those, right?
Yep.
But we're going to have another one tomorrow, and it's going to be right here live from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on Conversations with Nicole, YouTube and Facebook. So please tune in and be a part of the conversation. We'll be leading it. She will be moderator for that talk. But we'll be right here. And then also, immediately following that, I'm doing singles mingles with my co-host Nick Reigns. We're bringing that back, and we have a mystery host, so that'll be on at 8:30 p.m. And then finally on Wednesday, we're bringing What Women Want Wednesday back, and my special guest will be author Chastity Peoples. And she'll have a few friends. She'll be talking about her book, A Father's Love: The Journey of Becoming. So, lots going on right here. Conversations with Nicole. We're getting it in.
You busy,
You know what's
busy,
up.
busy, busy.
We love to talk to the people. Love to talk to the people. So
That's
again,
right.
thanks, Chris.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
you. All
Appreciate
right,
you.
y'all. All right, y'all take care. We'll see y'all later on in the week. Peace.